you talked about, you had somebody who was at the concert. You talked about what they heard there.
That's right.
The overwhelming description I have of the new era of music is very much like 2005 with a lot more oomph, right? And even that one had a lot of oomph in 2005.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, it has. I can't tell you how I've heard it, but I have heard the new theme. So it's got that's exactly right. More oomph. It's very 2005 to 2007, and there's a sort of haunting element as well because there's voices in it too, sort of backing it up. Yeah, so it's it's next level, but it's very much looking back to. There's a little bit of Delia in there at the beginning, just like the original one had got. But it's very much a case of, okay, this is this show back to its best when it was at its most popular, and they're going for the jugular with that. They are really trying to shake the British, well, I suppose the world public, but particularly the British viewing public, because once they get them on side, then the show is back. Without them, it doesn't stand a chance. They need to bring.
Well, I mean, the biggest hurdle they have is Yasmin Finney now. I hate to tell you this, but we live totally in a different cultural space than we did a year and a half ago. I'm not being mean about that. It's just the way things are. It's
not her fault. I mean, she turned up and did the job 18 months ago and got paid and went off and bought something nice, I've no doubt. But times have changed. This is the problem when you keep something on the shelf for a year and a half.
Yeah, especially something as contemporary. Doctor Who by its nature has to be, I think, contemporary. But something like this has aged very badly.
Has there ever been, mate, such a time where an episode of Doctor Who has been filmed in April one year and not being broadcast until November the year after?
I'm not big on the Andrew Pixley stuff. I don't know, but I'm saying, look, this image here, it wasn't offensive a year ago, right? And now I feel this is an assault on every. I mean, like, this person live and be well. But I just think it's like normalizing adult sexuality is probably a bad thing, right, to children. And I don't think this is an identity. I think it's a kink. And I think it's a kink that we're normalizing, not to the benefit of society.
What's been on my mind lately is the fact that this was filmed 18 months ago, and there was a big blaze of publicity about Yasmin Finney. So we're all this time on. We're talking about somebody who's working as a professional actress. You would think, off the back of the show of Heartstopper and of being in, for all we know, a couple of episodes of Doctor Who, why in all this time, in this 18 months, if this person is such a major talent, why haven't they been signed to some major movie by now? We're a year and a half on from this.
It does. Look, I mean,
where are the movie roles? Why isn't she leading some big drama of her own? If Yasmin Finney is such a big talent, that's more where my head's at now. That this person, give it 3 years' time, people will be thinking, oh, remember Yasmin Finney? Yeah, off that show.
I think give it 20 years' time, they're going to look at Yasmin Finney like they look at Joe Grant's platform shoes and bell bottoms. So it's like very much of that time, which was somewhat embarrassed about now.
We shall see. Time will tell and all
that. I can't hear you.
We shall see. Time will tell. All that
time
stuff.
Time will tell. Yeah, but again, I think the cultural currents are very much. I think the way that they're going to do it is just try to put Yasmin in and all the other trans stuff in without making a big deal of it, and which I think it'll probably be okay. I honestly, but I don't know.
They could do worse than bring back, if we're looking back to Arc of Infinity, some representation for more 7-foot-tall chickens would
absolutely.
That's a box that needs ticking.
7-foot-tall plucked chickens, we don't see enough of those today, right? And I don't think they get enough representation.
Have you ever heard?
Somebody just sent me an inside information. Apparently, and this will make sense why Yasmin hasn't done well. They're apparently unprofessional on set, and they're very young for a star. So
Not 19, 20 years of age. Still, so was Tom Holland when he got the part of Peter Parker Spider-Man, wasn't he? He was about 19, 20.
Yeah. This is something I'm actually very excited about in Doctor Who. That just was announced today. So if you've heard of this and see your take on this. I've been wanting them to do this for ages. They're releasing the first season of Lucie Miller stories in one box set. Now, have you heard these stories?
Yes.
So
I listened to them.
Season is freaking excellent. Yeah,
I've listened to these episodes about 5 times. Every single one is a banger.
They absolutely are. And how much is this? This is their $27.
Oh, that's great.
So for the whole season, totally a recommend.
Is it just as a download, mate? This is not on CD?
Looks like it's just a download.
Even so, that's a bargain. This is top draw Doctor Who.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
This is really. Here, go zoom in. If you haven't heard here, one second. I've got a trailer. But if you haven't heard the Lucie Miller stuff. Big Finish. This is a recommend. What year did it come out? No, they're saying this 2023. Yeah, let me show you the trailer they put out, or at least this might be a fan trailer. Who knows? Hang on, I got a Wizzy Will. Just trying to find it. Doing downloads.
It's great new artwork as well that captures that time.
Yeah, I agree.
To make sure that the blood of the Daleks remains pure.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What a great little trailer. I love that you're doing a whole season. One of the great things about this, though, is they released it every week on Saturday night. So at about, and it became event listening, right?
Yeah, whilst Doctor Who itself was not on TV, this was brilliant. It was almost like having the show back on for an extra couple of months.
Right. And you had a bunch of stories. So you got 2-parter Blood of the Daleks, and you got Horror Glam Rock, which had Bernard Crimmins in it.
Creatures in the snow.
Creatures?
They're things. Doctor! Doctor, can't you stop them?
Everything I am is part of ours.
Phobos is Greek for fear. They didn't know how right
Why?
they were.
What does it mean?
It means you've materialized us inside a time loop.
We will recover. We will survive.
Yeah, very strong season. Great cover. So again, how much do they charge for this? $27. Totally worth it. Let's see what they say about producing. Is there anything else? 2007, right? 2007. So it's interesting. You had you had a blockbuster start and a blockbuster finale, and then kind of interesting Sapphire and Steely contemplative cerebral stories in the middle. There
was a really good mix. One of them was what I'd call more of a romp. One of them was a bit silly and a bit offbeat. There was a good mix of everything here. I loved it. I can't recommend this stuff enough.
Yeah, so it had a great cast. Familiar names including Anita Thompson, Kenneth Cranham, Hayley Atwell. I forgot she was in it. Una Stubbs, Bernard Crimmins, Stephen Gatley, Ian McNeice. He was great in this. Elbset Gray, Timothy West, Neris Hughes, and Roy Marsden. And again, but the main thing is you got introduced to Lucie Miller, who was the 8th Doctor and Lucie Miller is one of the greatest pairings that I've ever seen, right? They're just fantastic, right?
Mate, I say this all the time to particularly Ian Diaz, who can't stand audio drama. To me, I have to remind myself I didn't watch this. It's
right, yeah, because it feels like you saw this. Because again, Lucie Miller? So the name of the actress again who played
Sheridan Smith. Yeah,
her portrayal is so 3-dimensional. You feel like you've seen it, right? It fits very much into that 45-minute, hour-long TV show formula. And
you might not be aware either, mate, that at the time Sheridan Smith did this, she was huge in this country on television, comedies and dramas. She was massive, a really big star. And so to get her,
I remember that. And she was in theatre a lot as well.
Yeah,
I remember when this came out, she was doing Legally Blonde with Peter Davison.
That's right.
Yeah, at the West End, and doing very well with it, right? But yeah, no, it really is a fantastic play. There's a really big finish, probably at its peak, I would say. We're in its declining years now, sadly. I'm not sure how much longer they got to last. there's a lot less product coming out if you notice next year, right? It's not there's less announced, it's just less product.
It's strange, isn't it? A year after their conceptual relaunch, which has had some successes. I wish Big Finish the very, very best. I'd hate to see it disappear, but they are clearly at the mercy of forces that they can't control if they want to keep the license to make Doctor Who.
If you're talking about idiot children who scream and scream and scream and say the world is one way when everybody says it's another, if you're talking about those idiot children, they are very much under those forces. I can't remember last time where they had a couple in Big Finish. They were heterosexual, and it's not they're gay; they're always lesbians, right? The last heterosexual couple they had was Liv Schenker and Tanya, the woman with a penis. Yeah, I mean that's the closest thing. It's agonizing. In the last who was it? Who was that release? Paul McGann one, maybe, I can't remember. But it was like I think it was maybe Tom Baker, where it was the star captain of the starship was a woman and her lover was trapped in the past. It's like, fuck off! It's always the same. Right, it's always the same. Big Finish. Like this is back when Big Finish did actually fucking love stories, right? Because these are a bunch of good stories. And I don't know. Look, they went on 2017, 2018. They went on a hiring spree of completely incompetent writers because they had the right identity, and it's just failed. And I think their production staff is just really failing. I keep saying their box sets are painfully generic, like titles of them, and that's always a problem, right?
Yes.
It really is. Actually, the next one I have that I'm vaguely interested in is a Sylvester McCoy one called His Last Day. Let's see what they got coming up. But this is fantastic, right? This is primo Big Finish when it was at its best.
Big Finish cannot afford to get this bland with their titling of their stories. Everything about their releases needs to grab your attention, and you're absolutely right. These generic overall titles to their box sets, it's not gonna fly. It must be affecting their sales.
And you see the ones where they don't have a generic title. It's they're actually like this Third Doctor story. Coming out this month, and also, right? Which Pratt is running the Torchwood line as well? What if the Ood and that bird from the Impossible Planet, Claire Rushbrook, fantastic actress, I love her, but what the hell has that got to do with Torchwood? They are totally fudging that now. No, I think the idea is that on the Impossible Planet, they said they came from the Torchwood Institute or the Torchwood Foundation.
Oh God,
or something like that. So they're trying to tie that in. But look, Torchwood has that range has had it carries on and on and on. So it must be somehow financially viable with what they're doing. And they got a small audience, I guess, that just sticks with them. So
it's diluting the actual brand name of Torchwood, where they're taking that major mistake
to nothing, isn't it?
I suppose it is. I just can't stand to see it misused in that way. When I'm sure those releases have been a perfectly good audio drama. But why attach it to Torchwood? I've absolutely no idea. I'm getting quite frustrated.
The horrible truth is when they did originals, nobody bought them. And a lot of them were quite good. Yeah. Right? And I really wish somebody would have bought the original. Also, they did a Torchwood 70s, which I thought would be good, and it wasn't. Look.
From how you described it, I didn't listen to those, but from how you described it and from the blurbs, it just sounded... It didn't sound like any version of the 70s that anybody would ever recognize, and it didn't sound fun. If you're going to do something,
the 70s through the eyes of a kid who wasn't there.
Yes, brilliantly put. There's no point in doing period stuff unless you know about the period, and particularly, if but it's on audio, so you can't see the wing collared shirts and the flares and stuff. So you've got to imagine it all. Oh God.
Yeah, but I mean, the soundscapes, it was all a bit dour. I didn't buy the second one. They released them as 2 individual releases. I didn't bother buy the second one.
They could, just like they did with Countermeasures, they could have a Torchwood team that's permanently in Victorian London, or in the 1920s, or in the 1970s, and you could have a lot of fun with that. You could even take it into the future. Yeah. There's all sorts of scope to do a lot with Torchwood. That's
what they're doing with it. But again, look, it's a range I haven't listened to for years. I can't comment on it. Something I have been enjoying is Once and Future. Have you listened to any of these yet?
I have, but I'm way behind you. I've got the first 3 or 4. I'm buying them all, and I'm really enjoying them. It's just finding the time to listen.
Have you got up to the Sylvester McCoy one yet?
That's the next one I've got, I think.
Oh, that's the best one. That's really, really good, right?
He's
and then
with,
the one also
is he with?
Very good as well.
Is Sylvester with Terry Malloy?
Yes.
Yes, I thought so. Yeah, that's the next one.
And it's basically they say this in the blog. I'm not spoiling for you. Davros wants to defect in the Time War, and so they recruit the 7th Doctor to extract him and work out what's going on, which I think is really good casting, right? That really works. But yeah, so look, this it wraps up this month. This has been a very good anniversary romp story. Paternoster Gang, not interested in the slightest. Omega Factor, yeah, neither there. But here, so I've got the what's it called again? I got the first of this 8th Doctor range.
Oh, this is with the new companion. This seems to be another fresh start for the 8th Doctors, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, look, they really torpedoed themselves. And let me sign in to see if I have these ones. They really torpedoed themselves with the insertion of the trans storyline in Stranded. Right? It was it just it didn't work, and B, it's there we go. It was obnoxious. I'd followed the 8th Doctor range from the beginning. I was out at that point. I wasn't interested in the end of that story. Right, so but I said I'll give him a go for this one. War Master, though, the last one I still haven't finished listening to, and I'm kind of like, and this releases a bunch of individual stories, so I'm like, this one sounds very missable. So this is the first War Master release I'm missing, and also they're introducing the guy from Torchwood who they like a lot.
Yeah, I like him.
I like him, but Jake Dubman doing 10th Doctor, not interested. Torchwood again, whatever. More Jake Dubman, but the 11th Doctor. I
can't see a single reason for doing those without Matt Smith and David Tennant now.
Yeah, exactly. So nothing this is a book of here. I think
this looks good. I saw this announced yesterday, and
expensive. Look, it's $50. Yeah, it's crazily expensive for look, the covers are nice, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know. Look, if they're focusing on their later period, which it looks like they are, that's like, look, if you want something much more interesting, where is it? Was it over here? Did I get click away from it? Did it over here? Oh, fine. You want something more interesting? Sadly, it's out of print. Big Finish a companion, which is cheaper.
Yeah.
They're both good, but I think I don't see them doing so well with that book.
Well, the way I look at it, I've been complaining for a little while that there's oversaturation on Big Finish. So if next year they're going to be releasing less, then actually I'd say that's probably quite a good thing.
But they're in trouble because they have to be able to they have to be able to make people buy them. So this one I might get. Sylvester McCoy, The Last Day. If this is the last day before he regenerates, and it's got a good writing team, and it doesn't seem shit, I might do this. Right, this one might talk me into it.
So is that the premise of this? Then this is his last day before we see him in the TV movie.
And this is the new 8th Doctor crew. I've got to hear the first one. Man, more Jake Dubman. Enough with you. Go away.
He is excellent at doing Matt Smith. If there was any of the Doctors which I'd say to to leave him doing, then that would be the one. But even so, I think that they're spoiling when Matt Smith does these. I'm sure he will eventually. I think it will lessen their impact if there's a bunch of 11th Doctor stories out there with somebody pretending to be the 11th Doctor.
I had a stroke of genius. So I told you my incredible idea of doing perfect reconstructions. So essentially, Stephen Noonan remount, say, the Crusade, right? Let's say you do Crusade 4 episodes, and then face swap him, so it's with William Hartnell as well, and it's indistinguishable. But I think who can play Richard the Lionheart in that? I originally thought Kenneth Branagh was a bit too old. You know, would be great in that role, Matt Smith. Got the right age as well.
Yeah, he would.
I was going to say, so the War Doctor Begins is a range I really like the first 4 releases of. Then they tacked on another season of 2 box sets, and it's basically around this stunning and brave woman that's the key to everything, who's a Dalek hybrid. I'm not interested. I'm not even bothering with it. And this is the last one they're doing, right? Because I guess the market's fallen out on it. But yeah, so as of next year, though, there is like, you got Stephen Noonan's got a release coming out, so that's going to get. I'm surprised they announced new Star Cops, and that's not bad. £10, $10. Is that if that can't be that's a book on tape, isn't it?
I don't know. I know there's new Star Cops coming, but I haven't checked it out. I
saw an announcement, but this looks like a book on tape. There's a David Calder and Trevor Cooper. I think here. Let's have a quick look, see what's going on with it. Star Cops. Apparently not. Okay, so they managed to find a way of making them cheaper. How many discs is this? Is this 1 disc? Okay, so they're selling them cheaper now. I guess they're doing individually. Second, so when's the next one? So then May 22. I might go for this. Okay, hang on. I might go for that. That's interesting. That's a new pricing strategy for it.
So
rather than doing box sets and breaking it into individual releases.
So from your detective work that you're doing, maybe this is a new strategy for release patterns, price points. Maybe we're going to see more changes as well as the year goes on.
And Jake Dunham's got another box set where he does Capaldi, Matt. Oh no, this is still 10th Doctor. Oh, go more Torchwood. Not 11th. See, 9th Doctor. Generic shit I'm out of. And 3rd Doctor, I've had 1 bad release so far. Okay, this is the monthly release. I guess that worked for them for once in future, so they're trying it with Star Cops. 4th Doctor, eventually I'm out. I don't like the TARDIS crew that they're with. It's like, what's the name of the woman who's in it, who I don't think is very good? Cast is...
Oh, I know what you mean.
Eleanor Crooks, right? Yeah, no, she just doesn't work at all. I'm sorry. This they recorded years ago. Classic Doctor's New Monsters. 6th Doctor, I got to see how they're rebooting it. Man, I like the monthly release schedule on Star Cops. I'm really on board for that. I'm glad they're doing that.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah. I think I might be out of this as well. I'm like,
I can't help but notice. There's no Blake 7 listed.
Yeah, that's been that's noticeably absent, isn't it? Right. But yeah, you see, there's about half the amount releases, and more Torchwood of a whole new group again. Soho. But yeah, you see, we were getting about 8 releases a month. Now it looks like it's down to like 4. This is good. I like the 2nd Doctor Adventures.
But
also, what's it? I was doing Big Finisher Originals. That they pushed that one back. You know, they had one really good thing from that. Yeah, where is it? Big Finisher.
When I was at Hooverville, the one conversation that I had that we didn't record, that because that person was too busy, was when I chatted with Michael Troughton, And
it's interesting.
I managed to get just 5 or 10 minutes just chatting to him generally. So we were just having a natter, having a chat. And because he was on his way, he was we didn't manage to get any time with him until it was time for him to go. And we stood there chatting. There's no airs and graces about that man at all. Lovely, lovely man. And he could have a laugh. We talked a little bit about him being in the New Statesman with Rick Mayall and stuff like that. So we had a laugh. But the entire time I was talking to him, and we were stood in the room, it was sort of interconnected other rooms. But as I was talking to him, there was people just coming up and tapping him on the shoulder and saying, I just have to say, I love what you're doing with the Second Doctor. And this happened, I was talking to him for about 10 minutes, and this happened 4 times. People were just over there, just going to tell you.
It's very good. That's why, because it's very good.
And he was so, but mate, he was so humble about it as well. He was kind of not blushing as such, but you could see just hearing it. He was. It meant something to him. It was really touching to see this man who's got to be, I suppose he's in his early to mid 60s, something like that.
Yeah,
so moved.
This was a tribute to his father. And I think that's why it really works, the Beyond the War Games. I really like his take on the Second Doctor. All right, it seems very authentic and very original at the same time. It is a Big Finish originals, which never really worked. You had Cicero, which I found kind of dull, to be honest with you. But Atta Girl was very much a girls are as good as boys release, and I'm like,
it looks very BBC Radio 4 friendly. That Atta Girl.
Yes, it is.
I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's good. It sounds fun, and I know Louise Jameson has poured her heart and soul into it. And who doesn't love Louise Jameson? But I've never made time for it. I've never bought it. I probably will never listen to it.
No, exactly. Not in a million years. Cicero was like Roman Adventures, vaguely interesting, $30 way too much. Jeremy Born in Time was written by Nigel Planner and was actually pretty good, but again, these things need to be much cheaper. Shilling and Sixpence I didn't enjoy at all. That was like dinner theatre with Celia Emery and David Warner. I couldn't really get into it at all. I didn't understand what was going on with it. Holy Terror, Blind Terror was freaking awesome. This is great for Halloween, right? It's a creepy horror story with Eve Miles. Transference, $40 too much. Atta Girl, you're just trying to make a point. Now, the best of the bunch was Nick Briggs's Human Frontier. Still overpriced at this point, I think. But this one came out in what year?
Couple of years now.
Yeah, 2020. And it ended sort of on a cliffhanger. The second one has been pushed back to 2025, like 5 year in between at this point. I
know that he's a busy guy, but as you say, I saw and heard a lot of good reviews of that. Whereas the other stuff, which I'm sure is good too, perhaps it just wasn't aimed at the right audience. So if people did latch onto the Human Frontier, why aren't they making more of that?
Yeah. No, I guess it didn't take off, but it's a real pity.
They're being quite inventive with Thunderbirds, and I think they're also being quite reasonable in their expectations for it as well. There's a potential audience to really tap into with Thunderbirds. A lot of Anderson fans would snap this stuff up. In my view, they should be doing one of these every month, not necessarily Thunderbirds, but something from Anderson. And there should always be new ones.
They have been doing a lot of Jerry Anderson stuff, but the problem with this is these are adaptations of children's books from the 60s, and it feels like adaptations of children's books from the 60s, right?
Yeah, they need to commission new stuff.
Exactly. What's the name doing Parker, and it's very good. What's his name? That's a Brigadier.
Oh, John Culshaw.
Yeah, John Culshaw. So he's very good, but John Culshaw, that's his name right there. But these don't really land for me at all. And they did a big Jerry Anderson push, right? And it again didn't really go.
Didn't take. Okay,
that's a shame. What else is going on? I had a whole bunch of stuff lined up. Hang on, let's have a look. See. I was going to talk about the Glee in which I guess I'll push this off till Thursday now. The Glee in which Toxic Fandom took the news that Graham Linden lost his TV agent because he called David Tennant a groomer. So here, did you see the thumbnail for today?
I didn't. No, I'm aware, sort of what's gone on, but I haven't. I have no idea where Graham's got his information from.
Okay, so this is an old story, right? So here, first, this is the thumbnail. David Tennant Groomer gate. Hey,
Bloody
kids, you don't think normalizing adult sexuality to kids is groovy, do? Yes!
Oh, I see.
Right. So this is where, let me find where this story comes from. This is from quite a while ago.
Yeah, so this is what I was confused about, because to the best of my knowledge, David Tennant hasn't spoken publicly about these topics, apart from speaking about his own child being non-binary.
Yeah, and like David, mate, I don't know. I don't know if it's the best parenting you're going for, or you're going to help your kid. But it says, so he was wearing this shirt saying, "Leave kids alone, you freaking weirdos." Like, well, that's what everybody's saying to you, right? But anyway, so then Graham Linehan, who is resolutely sane, says, "No, ignorant, disgusting, and reckless," right? So
I certainly think that. I certainly think that. I can't speak for Tennant himself, but I think there are people who work in that field, who work in entertainment, who run with the herd on matters like this that are in the public are talking about, that everybody has not everybody actually, but that some people have a very visceral reaction to, and they wave their flag and they display their colours and want to be seen by saying whatever the acceptable thing is to say, and they wear it like a fashion accessory, which I suppose is what virtue signalling is. I think that's a problem.
I think that's what exactly what. I think he's doing a combination of things. I think he's doing that to a certain extent, but we live in an age where we live in constant psychological operations. Like
yes,
I have a feminist, and my most feminist neighbor is very pro the trans argument, and I'm like, and it's because they've been manipulated to think that they see kids crying because they can't get puberty blockers because it's going to make their bollocks fall off, right? And but they don't think that's the best thing for them medically. So and please don't take medical advice from a doctor who podcast, but yeah, I would recommend. But everything's very, very emotionally manipulated now. So I think David Tennant thinks it's evil to be mean to kids by not letting them transition.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think David Tennant means well. I think by all accounts, I've never met him, but I've met and spoken to enough people who have either met him or know him to say that he is unequivocally a nice man who means well. The word reckless is probably fair. Has he a full understanding of the topics that he is dipping his toe in? No, I can't see that he can. I can't see that he can. He's not a politician. He's not, to the best of my knowledge, he's got no qualifications in any of these fields. He's just like us, and he's entitled to his opinion. Of course he is. But when you speak on subjects that you don't know anything about publicly, then you leave yourself open.
They don't know anything about it.
No,
that's the thing.
No. The onus is on them. The onus is on them to either read up a little bit and to listen to the general public and your peers, us, the rest of us, or to shut the fuck up. And just because you're allowed.
Like this is so. We are being conditioned to do things that we really don't believe in, right? I think that's what David tends to go. Or on the other hand, though, did you have any idea that everybody in entertainment in the 70s was a pedophile? Could you guess that Gary Glitter and Jimmy Savile and like never even occurred to me, right? Like same thing. So like
for example, I mean, the thing is, right? If we accept that David Tennant has been reckless in his choice of fashion accessories for whatever reason, then I think we can also speculate that, and I don't know very much about Graham Linehan, and I like some of his work, from back in the 90s and stuff. But I view that calling Mr. Tennant that name is also very, very reckless. I don't know where he said it, how he said it.
Point.
So are we going to fight fire with fire? I think Graham's been, I think that was very foolish. Do
you think it was worth him losing his agent over? No, I think that was.
I don't know. Again, I don't know anything. I don't know when this story broke, or so I don't know. I wouldn't like to say, but I just think that everybody's losing their heads over not just this topic, over several topics in Great Britain at the moment, cultural issues and things in the entertainment sphere. The reaction about
Russell Brand still going on.
The Russell Brand situation is one. The GB News thing last week is another, probably even more so. Whereby, I mean, it's just ridiculous. People calling for the channel to be shut down because what
happened with that? Could you give me a quick?
One guy said something that was a bit crass live on air, and so they suspended him. They've suspended the guy whose show it was that the guy was a guest on, and then they suspended another guy, a third host at the weekend, just for kind of not exactly coming out of sympathy.
This was Lawrence Fox.
Lawrence Fox. They suspended him. And on the surface of it, because I hadn't seen this, Lawrence Fox, he said something, as I say, really, really, really quite crass and misogynistic, and I don't use that word lightly. But and that was widely reported, and I hadn't seen it. I saw it after the fact, but. 3 days later, and the papers, because obviously the thing is, the mainstream media want to take GB News off air because it's a massive threat to them. GB News, and I hadn't realised this because I hadn't looked at the ratings in a long, long time. GB News's ratings are up here. The BBC's are down here. Talk TV and Sky's are down here. GB News is a massive success.
Why? Because they have people like Nigel Farage on, who people agree with and believe with. Who was it? There was a guy when Russell Brand thing broke. There was a guy who is on morning TV who was very, very derisive, and I think he was on GB News for that matter. Was like, oh, the guy was at Channel 4 and the Times did this investigation. Who are you to turn your? You fucking moron! Do you not understand that the
I know that was Piers Morgan that said that.
No, it was. I knew who Piers is. It was somebody else. But you can't say you've got to trust us because no, I don't trust a word you saying anymore. Right? You lied to us relentlessly for years about fucking everything, and now we all say. COVID was the thing that I think most people saw you lied out your ass about.
With going back to the GB News thing, what happened as well there was that, as I say, Lawrence Fox said something really crass and stupid, which I'm not surprised there were complaints about it. But what wasn't reported was what he was saying it in response to, and that information was nowhere to be found. He was angry and he was being incendiary deliberately, but the things that he said were a direct reference. This woman that he was directing them at, it was a direct reference to something that she had said on Twitter to her. She's got this sort of catchphrase. She goes around on Twitter basically trolling men. She's a misandrist and constantly repeating this catchphrase of hers. I'm not going to shag you, mate, she says to all these men. So Lawrence went on television and he didn't mention her Twitter account. I think he sort of assumed that everybody knew what her catchphrase was. And he said something along the lines of, well, I wouldn't shag you, love, and stuff like that. So on the surface, you listen to it, you think, wow, that's a really misogynistic thing to say. But he was actually...
take these things out of context. I don't trust anything anymore.
So... Right? So whilst, Lawrence, he was, because she'd been talking about male suicide, which is a genuine problem, part of the mental health epidemic in this country and many countries all over the world. And she was talking about that in a very dismissive, vulgar and cruel way.
Look, we have two sexes. One sex, it can with impunity accuse the other one of attacking them, and the other one is always on the defense. If you're a man, you're always wrong. If you're a woman, you can say anything and get away with it and destroy someone's life.
Yeah, That's what, and they're using this as a sort of Trojan horse, the mainstream are, to get in there and to pull GB News down.
With everything. Is a problem. Like, I can't trust a word you say anymore, right? Like look, you're going after Lawrence Fox, who I know you hate. It's like Donald Trump right now. Okay, Donald Trump is in court in Manhattan because, okay, it's the most insane case you can possibly imagine. They said that he inflated the value of his property so he could get loans. And those loans were paid back with the interest that he got the loans for, right? They're saying that I want to borrow $1 billion. Well, do you have collateral? Well, I got this property that's worth $23 billion, right? So he's got this property in a place called Mar-a-Lago, which is huge. Absolutely, it's like 10 acres long. Most expensive real estate in America. 2 coasts on it, absolutely gorgeous. There's a business on it that turns $25 million a year, right? So there's a patch. There's the net right next door to it. There's a half an acre. This thing is 10 acres. There's a half acre house that sold for $56 million. Right, so that gives you an idea. They valued this at $18 million. This huge. This 10 acre site for $18 million when a tiny sliver of that goes for like $50 million. Right, so you could, so that on that, and based on that, in a summary judgment, they terminated all his business. Said you got 1 month to close all your businesses. Just you're done. Like, and it's like his crime was just being Donald Trump. That's essentially it, right? I think there. I don't know what on earth it's going to happen with us, but like. We see through the bullshit, right? I'm sorry, we see through it. Like, you're full of shit.
They know.
We know it.
They know that people see through it. They know we know, but they're continuing to do it. They just need to keep him off the ballot, off the ballot paper. That's what they're desperately trying to make it so he can't. He can't be there.
He's 10 points ahead of Biden now.
Is he really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Well, aren't they going to swap? They're going to swap out Joe Biden for the woman, aren't they? The vice president.
Kamala Harris. She's even worse. She polls even worse than Biden. That was his last good decision, getting her. No, they want to get the governor of New York, governor of California, Gavin Newsom. How they're going to do it, I have no idea. When they're going to do it, I don't like. Basically, they're out of time as it is. So I have no. But like I think they stupid themselves into a corner. They can't easily skip over Kamala Harris. They have to, right? Again, she's even worse than. I
saw that Robert Kennedy Jr. is not going to be a Democratic candidate anymore.
No, so he's going to announce an independent. He takes more votes away from Trump than he does from Biden. But Biden's not like it's basically like this. Trump will probably win landslide with 45% of the vote if Robert Kennedy runs, right? And they all know what's probably going to happen is in October next year they'll take him off the ballot in 2 or 3 swing states. And say, just take us to court, and that's going to be useless. But I think he's still going to win, even if he's in jail, right? Even if he's running from jail, I still think because I think they're fucking up.
He's being
huge level.
It's banana republic behavior in this country. We've got Russell Brand being politically persecuted,
right? By the government.
By the government, yeah. It's disgraceful, and everybody who values the ability to speak freely in Britain should be concerned about what's happening with Russell Brand. This man has still not been arrested, not been charged, nothing.
It's the same as Noel Clark. It's exactly
the same.
We all
They spent They spent 4 years ringing round everybody they could that had any contact at all with Russell Brand, a man who was apparently slept with 11,000 women. The most people they've been able to find was they found 3 women who had a less than stellar experience with him, and 1 person who was already working at Channel 4 at the time, who's instigated all of this by her own admission for political reasons. There's 1 count of possible criminality abroad, but again, that hasn't been followed through. And even the evidence, there's no actual evidence at all there. The screenshots we've got of text messages between her and Brand are really quite vague. So there's nothing actually there. And yet this man's career has been ruined. And it's all out. And they've even spoken about it in the Times that it's all is politically motivated. It's nothing to do with protecting women. These people.
Yeah, no, they all like Russell Brand when they thought he was the character he was playing.
Of course. Yeah.
it's just like now that he's and again, I'm on a different side of the political spectrum from Russell Brand. I respect his honesty, though.
Yeah,
right.
That's absolutely right.
Like,
we should have the ability, particularly those of us who are a little bit older, when you get to your 30s, your 40s, and your 50s, to detach the personality from the equation. If you don't like his personality, his work, his books, his whatever, that's by the by. But recognize the situation for what it is. This is political persecution. Under the pretense that we got to protect women and get this man off the streets. They don't seem to care. The same people don't give a toss about protecting women in any other respect. They just don't care. But with this,
well, there was a story that broke today about a guy whose life was destroyed by a woman who said made lots of accusations against some baseball star, right? And that all fell apart. Hey, did you see this? That Russell Brand put this out. It was on his Twitter.
I've tried to keep tabs on what he's doing because it is fascinating. It's quite distressing, really. I mean, he does seem to be coming out of his corner fighting. And the online safety bill, I admire him enormously for this. I've never really had much to do with Russell Brand. I mean, I saw his, I did buy his book on recovery. I found that fascinating. But apart from that, I've never really had much to do with the guy's work. But I admire the way he's responded to this.
So yeah, this is just something you put out today.
Safety bill has been introduced. The free speech website that hosts Russell Brand could be forced out of the UK under new online safety laws, experts have said. Under the online safety bill, which is due to become law next month, Rumble will be regulated by Ofcom because it's accessible in the UK. Look at how this paragraph uses a literal hypnosis technique. You can look it up for yourselves. Verifiable suggestion. Under the new law, Rumble will have to prevent children from seeing pornography. Well, that's good. Material that promotes self-harm, thankfully. Suicide or eating disorders, obviously. Violent content, yes, of course. Material harmful to health, yeah, good, still good. Such as vaccine misinformation. So suddenly we've gone...
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what? We remember that last vaccine misinformation that came from the WHO.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Oops, sorry. I
no, it's okay. I see exactly what he means. Of course, it's blatant. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, we live in strange times. So there's this as well. We have to go soon. You're definitely going to your channel in about half.
Oh yeah, thankfully I'm not on live, but yeah, but yeah, I will be there. I'll be there in the live chat, everybody.
Oh, yeah, fine. So what? This is something else I'll go over, I guess, on my Thursday show. But this came out recently. I'll play the opening couple of minutes for you. Okay. Opening 30 seconds.
Star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me.
Right. So Lindsey Hill was this woman who accused him of sexual battery.
What should I steal? She asked another in reference to visiting my house for the first time.
Good Lord.
The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said. Being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, you got to get this bag. I'll give you 50,000, Lindsey replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, do you feel a tiny bit guilty? Not really, she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent.
So have you heard this story? So it's actually it's about a quarter of the way through. We'll finish it off. It's
those messages. Those messages, though, are chilling. They really are.
You wait to hear what actually
August
happened.
of 2021, Lindsay Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsay Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what...
Yeah, so she had herself all beaten up and said, "Oh, he did this to me," and destroyed his life.
Yeah.
No, just maliciously destroyed his life. It's unbelievable, right? He's like this baseball star. I don't know, but yeah. Do we have pictures of what she did?
actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. Yeah. After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsay Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order.
That's pretty bad when you can't get a restraining order. The bar is very low on that.
And she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings.
Fine. Well, I'll go over this more on Thursday. This is a breaking story right now. Yeah, but yeah, again, women are able to say with impunity that you sexually battered me. You did and there's seemingly no repercussion whatsoever, right? I mean, like the whole idea of believing women never occurred. It never occurred to me not to believe women until this stuff started becoming when they were. Russell Brand gets that treatment. The treatment Russell Brand got, a lot of people got. Noel Clark, right? Again, there was nothing to those allegations whatsoever. And
a woman tried to destroy my life. I've never spoken about it publicly. Maybe one day I will, but I could tell you guys some stories. I really could. And thankfully, it was another woman that came to my aid. When it's a hell of a story. The kind of story you only. I could tell you some stories. It's proper soap opera stuff, and it was but it's 100% true. One day I may tell it. But it happens. This stuff goes down. So when I hear counts like that, I mean, I haven't got 51 mil, but
exactly. Thank God.
But the figures are kind of by the by. It's the deliberate putting those wheels in motion to not just to deceive a man, to steal from him, but to criminalize him as well.
Right. Which is, and again, you get no recourse. Dan, can you throw out your thumbnail again for your show starting in 35 minutes?
Can I? Oh, it's 1 moment. I can. Yeah, this is myself, Stephen Noonan, and starry-eyed girl Sarah Graham. We are getting together in just over half an hour to talk about, as he tries to buy some time while he finds the thumbnail, and we are reviewing a classic piece of Doctor Who history from the new series this time, though, and it is this one. Says, where are we? There we are. This is it. It's the three of us talking about Father's Day. So whether you like this episode or whether you don't, maybe we could change your perception of it. Maybe we look at it slightly different to how you do. So
like Father's Day.
Oh, I know. Well, again, spoilers. You can find out when you listen to the show. But we also spend a good chunk of time as well talking about the Christopher Eccleston Doctor, that incarnation, what he did when he came into the show, how he made us feel. And yeah, it's a good one. It's a long one. It's not quite as long as the Image of the Fendel one, which is another long one. Another entire evening's worth of entertainment for you there to either watch all in one or to chip away at.
My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.